Hello everyone and welcome back to the Zombies Ranking series. Today we start what a lot of people would consider the peak of the golden age in Call of Duty Zombies, with the start of Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3 launched with two maps, being The Giant and the map we're going to be talking about today, Shadows of Evil. Black Ops 3, starting with Shadows of Evil, introduced a plethora of new features to the series that heavily inspire every game that has come since. The release of Shadows of Evil marks the turn in Call of Duty Zombies, where the maps move past casual survival and more into a main and side quest based focus, with collectathons and lots to do. Maps like Mob of the Dead and Origins are clearly the inspiration for this game and every map on Black Ops 3 going forward. Now real quickly, before we go into our deep dive of the map and all of the features that it brought with it, I would just like to quickly mention that this is an ongoing series, and if you're interested in following along or checking out any of the previous maps, I have a playlist linked below and in the top right corner of the screen right now for the entire series in one place. Okay, let's get straight into Shadows of Evil, starting with
Streets on flame, it's a mad game, makes you stop and stare.
Your sins serve only as an invitation.
An invitation to an evil beyond your imagination.
You want to know what I think? I think we're being punished.
Evil can again
I think all this is happening because we're bad people.
in the death.
Anyone interested in front row seats to their own deaths?
I know who you are.
It's haunting
I have seen each and every one of your
inside out.
misdeeds.
See,
the new features of the game. I know I said we would dive straight into the map, but as usual, I have to discuss the changes to the gameplay systems that this map brought with it. This is probably the biggest change between games that we've had so far. There is a lot to discuss, and for the first time in the series, a fair amount of it is out of game progression and in menu systems. The armory system. For the first time in Zombies history, the player now has a chance to upgrade and level up their weapons within the game to unlock new attachments and camos. This works very similar to the multiplayer system, where as you kill zombies, open doors or just progress through the map and its main quests. And side quests, you will gain XP that will level up your guns. The weapon attachments actually make a massive difference to the guns as you level them up, unlocking items that increase aim down sight speed and reload speed, just to name some examples. This is fantastic for players to feel like they are making an impact, and it really allows the player to customize their own guns to match their own preferred playstyle. One example I've seen in myself is that for the first time ever, I've actually used sniper rifles in the game because I could just customize it and add an ELO sight to the gun, making it much more user friendly for them close range engagements. We also unlocked camo challenges for the first time for zombies, which for anyone who plays multiplayer knows is a massive draw for a lot of players. This allows you to complete challenges and unlock a small selection of camos. Now I do feel like I have to add that this feature is improved upon much better in later games, and I am slightly disappointed in the quality of the mastery camo, if you could even call it that in this game, but I still do enjoy the inclusion. I feel like it deserves a little bit of praise just for that. Overall, the weapon armory and leveling system is one of the greatest additions to the basics zombies formula, and is a fantastic addition to the game. Player leveling is another huge addition to the game. This also works very similarly to the multiplayer offering, but it's toned down a little bit. The player has 35 base levels that they can complete to unlock new weapons in the armory, gobblegums, new player icons, to name a few of the smaller rewards. When the player completes the 35th level, they unlock the option to Prestige, which resets them to level 1 and relocks all the guns and gobblegums that were unlocked up until this point. The player also unlocks a prestige token, which grants you a free permanent unlock of any item in the game. This is a fun feature, but I can also see it as possible that players just don't interact with it. Prestiging, aside from the new icon that you get, doesn't really give you any rewards, especially in this game. To be honest, in most Call of Duties, it doesn't give you any reward right up until Black Ops 6. So really, it just depends on how much dopamine the player gets when they see that level up icon appear on the screen. It's a fun little feature to have access to, but I don't really think it's a major game changer, unlike the next feature. Gobblegums are a new form of consumable for the players to interact with throughout the course of a match of zombies. How does it work? Well, there are two types of gobblegum that the player can play with. Normal level up based gobblegums that the player earns while leveling up, and these are permanent to use as long as the player is at the right level. And then we have the megas. The player can unlock these gums by logging onto the game, and as they go through the rounds and spend points, they unlock this new currency called Liquid Divinium, a currency that can be used in everyone's favourite exchange shop called Dr. Monty's Factory, in bundles of 1, 2 and 3, which determines how many gums you get back from the machine. The machine acts as a form of loot box, spitting out 1 to 3 gums from the machine depending on how much liquid divinium you put in. These are not guaranteed to be new gums, and they are not duplicate protected. So you can get 3 of the same garbage gum or 3 of the same god tier gum. These gums are also broken down into rarities, with higher rarities providing massive advantages to the players, whereas lower rarities provide sometimes minimal benefits, but a lot of the time they provide really good benefits just in very niche strategy, like Fear and Headlights, for example, for the Gorod Krovi boss fight, just to name a quick example. Now, what abilities can these gums provide to the players? Well, we have the basic gum like Sword Flay, which grants a 5 times damage boost against zombies when you melee, to the massively overpowered gums like Perkaholic, which grants you every perk in the map immediately, and Shopping Free, which of course grants you free unlimited purchases for an entire minute. These gums can change how the game works on a fundamental level. If you can get all the perks and everything for free, you can get straight into Easter egg hunting or high rounding. This system sounds great, right? Well, what's the catch? Well, the gobblegums that are often the best are not the free ones, with some exceptions. Alchemical Antithesis is really good. I cannot say that word. Anywhere But Here is also great. There's some, in plain sight, there's some good free gobblegums. I'm not saying all of them are shit, but a lot of the really good ones are the paid ones. In order to get the best gums, you often have to spend real life money on COD points. Yep, here we are. Black Ops 3 is the first game in the series to have microtransactions in the zombies mode. I know Advanced Warfare had microtransactions in the multiplayer, but that wasn't the zombies, so I'm not counting it. I personally have very few of these mega gums as far as I can remember. I have no shopping frees at all. This is where the system begins to show its issues. I've been playing Black Ops 3 for years, and I just have not gotten lucky on my loot boxes. I'm definitely not the only person who finds this system to be how it is. I have to be honest, I just don't like the gobblegum system on display here, especially now that we've gotten the Black Ops 6 system and I've seen how much better it can be. But it also improves in this game as we go along, as I will mention later on. But for now, I do have to say it takes an insane amount of luck to get the good gobblegums. Not only does it take an insane amount of luck to get your good gobblegums, but it also has the devastating effect of removing the game's creativity. Throughout the course of Black Ops 3, we only ever receive one new perk, which is added to the game, and that is Widow's Wine on Shadows of Evil, a truly fantastic perk, but it's the only new perk we see added throughout the entire lifespan of the game, which just honestly, in my opinion, isn't on. And I truly believe that the reason we only ever see one new perk is because every other new idea went straight into the gobblegums, probably at the call of Activision, who wanted to sell these new ideas. They need to monetize, but that is another massive drawback of this gobblegum system. Overall, I know this may be controversial, but as I said, I don't like this gobblegum system as it's presented in the game. Not only do some of the maps outright just not feel good without gobblegums, like they feel like they were designed with gobblegums in mind for main quests and high rounds, but I've also found that they just suck the creativity out of the game. Pair that with the luck that's required, and I feel like it's just a very anti-player mechanic that works so much better in Black Ops 6. Okay, that's a lot of the game-wide systems changes. More will come later as the game evolves, and of course, as they come, I will talk about them in that specific video where they're introduced, but I think it's time to finally tackle the map itself 10 minutes later. So let's get into the discussion on Shadows of Evil. If you've been enjoying this video so far, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know what you think of the systems changes in the comments below. The map design and layout. Shadows of Evil is the first map in a while, especially after the disaster that was Exos, that a map does not follow the basic loop format. Instead, the closest comparison to this map layout I have is probably to that of Shinonuma. Shadows of Evil has that core spawn area, which connects the 4 different paths, which connects to the 4 different districts on the map. We have the Canal District, which is filled with tight corridors, and verticality at play, with 3 different distinct levels of verticality. The next location is the Waterfront, which is wider than the canals and provides a more linear gameplay experience. We have 2 different levels at Waterfront, a high up portion that puts you well above the ground floor, and then the ground floor, which is where you'll spend most of your time. There's a lot of tight passages up above, and the lower ground floor, which has wider passages for the player to move around on. Next up, we have the Footlight District, which is the most linear of the 3 districts I found, with 2 layers of verticality, but the upper layer is hardly higher than the ground floor, and is only present for 2 rooms. The final district on offer here is the Underbelly, the sewers, which can be accessed from the spawn junction that connects all 3 of the districts. This area holds Pack-a-Punch and is essential for the Easter egg. It also consists of some of the most open space in the map, making it great for new players to train. At least that's what I always thought when I was younger. Okay, so it's a rather large map. How do we travel around Morgue City, I hear you ask? Well, the answer is quite simple. Not only does this map come with different levels of elevation, offering different travel times to your destination, we also have 2 different modes of transportation around the map. The first is the tram that the player can use to travel from one station to the next. There is a station for the tram in every major location of the map except the underground. The tram is an evolution of the transit bus model of transportation, allowing for players to select their destination rather than running on a set path, which really is all transit needed to improve its bus. The next method of transportation is its teleporters, which are different from every other iteration of this feature so far. Instead of the teleporters being these big machines that you must link up to a control panel, these teleporters instead appear as rifts in space that instantly take you to the underground section of the map. The underground section holds all of the portals on the map, allowing the player to quickly teleport themselves across the map. Both of these transportation systems help with the map's flow and helps to tie the map's 4 corners in a cohesive way. Altogether, I actually do really like the map's layout and how it plays. I don't really have any personal favourites, but I do have a personal least favourite section of the map, that being the entrance to the Footlight Ritual area where all the cars are. It's just a pain in the ass, to be honest. Overall, the map's layout is great and the flow works really well, especially if you add in the 2 new methods of transportation to the map. I would like to add that I don't think the core layout of the map does anything particularly new. I think it does a lot to reformat a different method of making the maps rather than all of the maps having the same loop layout. As I've said, anything that's not a loop I think is beneficial, at least for now. The loop format kind of starts disappearing around this time. Now, I want to talk about the aesthetic design of this map, the art direction, so to speak. These days, when a new zombies map comes out in Cold War Black Ops 6, one of the first things you'll hear is that there's no aura or atmosphere on the map. While I disagree with this, especially in the case of Black Ops 6, I will be honest with myself here and say that Shadows of Evil oozes with atmosphere and aura, and absolutely decimates the art design of most new maps that have released in the last few years. This map is closest to Mob the Dead in terms of design graphically. The city looks very close to Alcatraz in its colours and just its overall aesthetic. This connection to Mob of the Dead is even drawn in the game, as the map contains multiple references to Mob of the Dead, including the plane from that map's main quest showing up here. This map is also the first map in the game's history to add more alien/creature feature kind of design to its aesthetic. We have alien plants, new enemies, these intergalactic portals, ancient symbols. This map has a really unique yet shared identity with Mob of the Dead. It's really like nothing that's came before it, while also sharing them similarities with, again, Mob of the Dead. It's hard to explain how impressive the art design is for Shadows of Evil, but really take a look at it while I'm playing the game in the background and you'll understand what I'm saying. I really have absolutely no complaints about how Shadows of Evil looks. I think it's probably one of the most impressive maps aesthetically. In terms of aesthetics, this map is in the top of S tier, but unfortunately for Shadows, there's more to the game than just aesthetic. Now let's go over the new features of the map. We'll start with the weapons. We have a new wonder weapon. The new wonder weapon of Shadows of Evil is the Apothicon Servant, which is an absolutely god tier level wonder weapon. A new buildable wonder weapon that can instantly kill zombies forever by shooting out a mini black hole, which sucks in the zombies. This weapon can be crafted by finding 3 different parts: the Margwa heart, from defeating your first Margwa, the ectoplasm/egg things, I do not know the official name, I'm so sorry, from either the meatballs or the parasites on a max ammo round, and finally the tentacle, which can be harvested from purple plant pods. This weapon is absolutely fantastic and one of the best wonder weapons of all time. Not only is it thematically fantastic, but it's also super easy to craft. Overall, an amazing wonder weapon and another positive that Shadows of Evil takes. New box weapons. Of course, with a new game, we get a suite of new weapons on the walls and in the box. We have some key standouts like the shotguns, the brecci and the haymaker. The little Arnies are a fantastic addition in place of the monkey bombs. absolutely decimating them in every way. Overall, the box selection I covered very briefly is absolutely fantastic, and Black Ops 3 is probably the last game where it felt like the box was super useful and the box had a balance of shit stuff and really, really good stuff. This is another win for Shadows of Evil. Now I'm going to quickly go over the side quests. First we have the swords. The swords are the introduction of the specialist quest to the mode. Specialist weapons are insanely powerful second wonder weapons that are usable based on a charge rather than an ammo count. The first specialist weapon to ever be introduced was the swords on Shadows of Evil, which the player could unlock by completing a quick side quest. In order to unlock the sword, the player must ride to 3 different locations using the tram and look through 3 windows out the side of the tram to get the 3 glowing symbols. The symbols are also marked on the map next to the tram stations. When the player gets the 3 symbols, they need to go into the underground where they can input the symbols using beast mode and unlock the egg. So there's basically this code wall that the player can input the symbols into and they can get an egg. The player can then take the egg to these Cthulhu looking statues in each of the core 4 areas of the map and kill zombies in them until the egg is glowing. Once this is done 4 times, players can return to the underground and place the egg back where they claimed it from in order to unlock the sword specialist. The base version of the sword specialist is a powerful sword with a basic swing attack that can take out zombies and a leap attack that ground pounds the sword, killing all zombies nearby. The sword can also be upgraded past this point. To start this upgrade, you must have the base sword and then bring the sword to the ritual location of the character you are playing as. Give the floating keeper the sword and in return it will grant you a new egg that the players must charge. These are charged differently from the base egg as the player must locate 4 glowing red circles on the ground and place the egg within the circles. Each circle is located near the ritual sites. The player will then have to kill a Margwa that spawns in, and for each circle after the first, a second Margwa will also spawn. Only 1 circle can be completed per round. After the player goes to all 4 circles, they can return to the original keeper and hand over the egg in order to receive the fully upgraded sword. The upgraded sword now has a new attack which sends out a small secondary sword to kill enemies by itself, allowing you to basically have double swords. It's a really cool ability that deals with enemies very efficiently. A fun and worthwhile upgrade to complete and a great introduction to the new game mechanic in the specialist weapon. The Apothicon swords are a fantastic addition. The rocket shield. This starts as a buildable side quest that can then be upgraded further. There is a spawn for each of the 3 parts in the 3 main areas, oftentimes found on the upper level of each area. It can then be built and used by the player at any buildable station. It is great that the player can now use the shield without having to worry about changing it out for different weapons or different abilities, like on Buried or Transit. The issues I have with this shield are in its upgrade. This is by far the most tedious and useless upgrade in Zombies history. You unlock this by getting 10 zombie kills with the rocket shield 12 times in a row. Just a worthless upgrade and a time-consuming process. While the shield itself is an improvement on what came before, the upgrade process is not. Lil Arnie. As I mentioned before, the Little Arnies are the new Monkey Bomb tactical grenade, except better. These grenades can also be upgraded to kill zombies faster and last longer. The upgrade is also incredibly simple, to be honest, so it's absolutely worthwhile to get. Firstly, the player will need to get 100 kills with the Little Army, which may take a while, but it's easy, unlike the shield. Next, the player will need to throw a Little Arnie at 3 different items. A top hat on a mannequin's head in Nero's lair, a bow tie which appears on the shelf in the boxing gym, and a walking cane which appears on the first floor of the Ruby Rabbit on a sofa. Once the player has these 3 items, head to the Black Lace Burlesque in the Footlight District, throw a Little Arnie at the ritual table, and a little creature will put on a show for you. After this, your Little Arnie is upgraded. While this quest can be a little bit of a pain, if you are trying to do everything in a match of Shadows of Evil, I would absolutely recommend grabbing this upgrade. Although I do find the Little Arnies to be super rare on the box, which is a mild negative. Like, I never get the Little Arnies. Free Mega Gobblegum. This is a really quick side quest to get a free Mega Gobblegum. The player will need to get the Widow's Wine perk and go over to the Canal District, to the first room in the upstairs portion of the area, with 4 lion-headed statues. Throw Widow's Wine grenade into each of the statues, and then when you hear the 4th roar, a Mega Gum will come out of the last lion's mouth. You must then bring it to the candy shop in the junction area, come back in a few rounds and claim your free mega gun. While this is a rather simple quest, the chance of you getting what you want or anything good are so slim that it really isn't worth it to rely on this as a strategy for like getting a decent gun. It's just a fun little addition. You can also upgrade your trip mines. This is the final side quest that I'll be talking about that upgrades or provides a boost to the player's arsenal. This side quest actually has multiple paths, which is kind of fun. You can either choose the devil donuts or the holly cream cakes. Once the player makes their choice on which upgrade they want, they must blow up trip mines near the opposite food cart. So if you want the devil donuts, you must blow up trip mines near holly cream cakes, and the other way around for the cream cake upgrade. When this is complete, you will hear a laugh, and now your trip mines will blow up in either cream cakes or donuts, depending on which upgrade you choose. This is a really cool upgrade, but it doesn't really do much aside from being a fun little mini quest that you can do while playing the game. I like its inclusion as a whole though. Double Pack-a-Punch. I'll be talking about the actual quest to unlock Pack-a-Punch a bit later, but the double Pack-a-Punch system needed a mention here. Unlike Advanced Warfare Zombies, we have moved back to a more traditional Pack-a-Punch system where the player pays 5k points for a massive damage boost. The new of this system comes in the re-Pack-a-Punch. The player will have the option to put their gun back in the machine for 2,500 points, potentially changing its camo depending on a map and giving it a new ability in the form of alternate ammo types. These are infinite damage abilities that can be given to any bullet weapon in the game, basically allowing you to use your normal weapons until round 100 if you had the time and patience. The alternate ammo types are the following: Brain Rot, which turns a zombie into an ally; Blast Furnace, which sets a large bunch of zombies on fire; Fireworks, which spawns in a mini version of your gun to kill zombies; Dead Wire, which basically turns your gun into a Wonderwolf; and Thunderwall, which basically turns your gun into a Thunder Gun. Each of these alternate ammo types has their own benefits and drawbacks, and they all fit into the game nearly perfectly, with maybe the exception of Thunderwall, which is by far my least favourite. While I do like this Pack-a-Punch system, I have to be honest and say that I actually prefer the Pack-a-Punch system in later games. The Black Ops 6 version of Pack-a-Punch and the alternate ammo types works much better than it does here on this map. It's still to the benefit of the map, but I think it's done better elsewhere. The pods are this map's version of Origin's dig sites. The difference lies in the way the pods work. Unlike needing to upgrade the shovel in the map to unlock better rewards, we instead have to wait for the pods to upgrade themselves over time in Shadows of Evil to get better rewards. This goes from green/yellow to red to then finally purple. The player will need a fumigator to interact with these pods, and the fumigator can be found anywhere around the map, just like the shovel in Origins. The pods can grant numerous rewards, from power-ups, buildable parts, to weapons, and even a ray gun on rare occasions. These pods are an awesome addition, and I think they are probably my favourite version of this mechanic. Civil Protector, a friendly AI that spawns in and kills zombies with the player. It can be called in multiple times for 2,000 points and can also revive the player while it's up. A great utility character that is super easy to unlock. All the player will have to do is find and plug in 3 fuses that are located around the map in the 3 districts, often close to the shield parts. The Civil Protector is great for high rounds, as he can constantly revive you even in solo, allowing you to go down more than 3 times on a map. Beast Mode, which is basically identical to Afterlife in use. The player can turn into a beast and power up perks on the map, break open walls, and open doors to access new areas. The main difference from Afterlife is that Beast Mode does not act as a revive tool for you and will not save you in the game. Although you can't take any damage while you're in this mode, and you have a grappling hook, so positives and negatives, give and take. New enemies. Shadows of Evil adds in 3 new enemies, and unfortunately 2 of them are just not very good. Lackluster, easy to deal with, and irritating. The parasites and the meatballs, I don't even know the actual real name for these god-awful enemies, are 2 new enemies that's only use is to grant a max ammo and drop the ectoplasm eggs. While the parasites have a cool design, the tick damage that they can put out on a player is just annoying. As I said in the carrier video, I hate ranged enemies that give off tick damage. Either give low damage and be close range like the hounds, or give high damage with slow reload like the Margwas. Don't try whatever the parasites are. The meatballs are actually worse in my opinion. The parasites may be annoying, but at least they look cool. The meatballs on the other hand are just straight ass. They have a minor splash damage, explosive damage kind of attack when they come into contact with you. The movement isn't not intuitive and often leads to irritation as they suddenly do a full 180 with no animation. or no tell. They literally just like glide along. These enemies suck. I don't like the meatballs. They're just a worse version of a hellhound. The Margwa, on the other hand, is this map's version of the Panzer or Brutus, and I have to say I absolutely love the Margwa. They are the perfect balance of a punishing and rewarding enemy at the same time. They're super punishing at the beginning of the game, whereas towards the end they become easy to deal with, as boss zombies should. The Margwa has 3 giant yellow mouths on its face, and when they are open, the Margwa takes big damage from the player. If the head is destroyed, the player gets 500 points. The player has to destroy all 3 heads to kill the Margwa. The Margwa itself has a swipe attack that does medium damage and a slam attack that can red screen the player with Jug and one shot without it. The Margwa is the perfect zombie boss, but the only change I would want is the ability to do minor damage to its outer skin rather than no damage at all. The story and main quest. The map begins with a fully animated cutscene that sets up the world and our new cast of characters. Of course, the best is Nero, played by Jeff Goldblum, because it's Jeff Goldblum, but the rest of the cast is fantastic too. The cutscene explains that we must atone for our sins. We all had just killed somebody previously. The gameplay portion of the map starts with the characters finding the summoning key and the mysterious Shadow Man in a hat that disappears in a puff of purple smoke. The player can now find 4 different items that is important to each of the characters and bring them to a secret ritual site in each district on the map. Nero is in the spawn area, Jessica is in the footlight, Jackie is in the canals, and Floyd is in the waterfront. I hope I got all the characters' names right. I did not double check it before recording. The character can place each of these special items they find and the summoning key onto the ritual tables in each area and complete a small lockdown. A blinding flash will tell you that it's completed. When the 2nd and 4th rituals are completed, a marker will spawn in that you will have to kill. The players will then be able to place the 4 gate worms that they picked up from the rituals in the underground section of the map. After another short lockdown, the players will see the Shadow Man escape with the summoning key and begin to take over the world. This is also where the player finally unlocks Pack-a-Punch. I want to take a quick moment to say that while I like this Pack-a-Punch quest personally, it is absolutely not new player friendly and it is so over the top for no reason. The ritual still could have been part of the Easter egg. There was no need to have all this just to unlock Pack-a-Punch. From this step, the egg continues with you having to unlock and upgrade the Apothicon swords, like I mentioned earlier. Once you've upgraded the swords, the player can go to Nero's lair and interact with a book which is on the floor. After this, in the underground, a flag will spawn in. The player must bring this flag to 4 different areas of the map, protecting it from the meatballs, the Shadow Man, and the parasites. This must be done 2 times in each district, and when completed, the player can bring the flag to that district's ritual site. There, the flag will siphon energy into a keeper, basically powering him up. The flag step can be a pain without the wonder weapon, but it is totally doable. The flag can be destroyed, and this just means that you must pick it up and start this defense step again. Once this is finished, you basically are on to the boss fight. The player must go into the underground ritual area where the Pack-a-Punch is. The player must interact with the keepers spawning the Shadow Man. When this happens, they will shoot his shield off. While his shield is shut off, the players can shoot the Shadow Man until he's hovering above the summoning key, and then they will interact with the summoning key to trap the Shadow Man. This is where the Easter egg ends in solo mode, but if you are not, there's one more final step where the 4 players must go to the tram stations and the junction area and shoot the keepers and these 3 little boxes to make the train kill the giant gateworm. After this, the ending cutscene will play where the player will see Richtofen show up, take the summoning key off the keeper, and then just teleport away again. Kind of a nutting burger in terms of overall story, but does a good job of setting up intrigue, I suppose. Overall, while the story of the map is okay, I do have to be honest and say I do not like this Easter egg at all. Not only does it overcomplicate the Pack-a-Punch process and compromise itself mostly of side quests as its steps, it also isn't completable solo, which just ruins it for me. It keeps you out of the super Easter egg unless you have 3 friends to play with. The Easter egg is lackluster, the reward is lackluster, and the story is just okay. The cutscene is actually laughable. The Easter egg really holds this map back from being a perfect map in my opinion. The boss fight is such a joke. We go from Oz, which was the first boss fight ever done in zombies, which is actually a really, really good boss fight when you look at it. When you go back and play Oz, it is a really good boss fight. It is fun, it is engaging. Of course, it depends on what weapons you get, but I had a great time with Oz. This is just a really lackluster. It's a massive letdown, and thankfully it never comes back again, or I'd have to repeat myself because there's no way they can improve this Right? Anyway, yeah, no, the Easter egg really does hold this map back. In the title of this video, I made the bold claim that Shadows of Evil is Treyarch's most overrated map. Do I still think that after everything I've gone through? Yes, I do. Now, let me make something clear. A map being overrated does not mean that it is bad. What I'm trying to say is that the map is not as perfect as a lot of the community tries to make it out to be. The gameplay is fantastic, the weapon selection is fantastic, there's a great wonder weapon and some fantastic system changes that make the map feel really, really good. Overall, the map deserves a lot of the praise it gets, but unfortunately that means missing out on a couple of the glaring issues that the map presents very plainly. We have things like the complicated pack-a-punch, useless upgrades for stuff like the shield, the god-awful enemies like the meatballs and the parasites, and of course we have the dreadful Easter egg quest that cannot be completed solo with the laughably bad boss fight. When you put all this together, we have a fantastic zombies map, sure, but is it really S tier, goated? No, I think it just falls short of that. I think I'm gonna have to be fair here and put it at the top of A tier, unfortunately. There is a lot to like here, but a lot of that is just systems changes and really good aesthetic art design. A lot of the gameplay, particularly on the Easter egg front for this map, it just isn't there. It's laughably bad, to be honest. And if this is the start of the Golden Age, I don't know what to say. If the start of the Golden Age is only an A, I don't know what that is to say about the rest of the Golden Age. Okay, this was an absolute mammoth of a video, being well over 2,000 words, more than any other script in the video series. And the audio recording time, now this is going to get cut down, but the audio recording time is like 40 minutes, which is crazy. I have no idea if this is a showing of things to come, but if you did enjoy this video, especially with the amount of effort I'm putting in, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I would love if you left me a comment, let me know what you thought of Shadows of Evil. I will see you guys in the next video, which is none other than their Eisendrache, which will be another controversial episode of the series.